Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this morning's episode of Trending, brought to you in association with Iconic Coffee. If you head over to shop.iconic.com and use the code TRENDING, you get 10% off. How you doing, Rich, my mate? You okay, mate?
I'm good, mate. Thank you. Quiet night last night. Actually, it's really hard to tell what stories like coming out of Iran and obviously Israel are now. So yeah, I can't. I don't know if it was a quiet. I think one, but it's really hard to tell now what is actually going on. I think Iran's internet went out at one point. So yeah, it's difficult to tell. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, it is difficult to tell, yeah. I think it's like with anything. I think you probably have a handful of outlets or commentators that you think they're normally on the money. And if they're saying something, then generally, you've got a good chance of it being accurate. But this is the problem with like any kind of conflict anywhere is there's propaganda from both sides because both sides want to control the narrative in terms of what's actually going on. So there's lots of deep breaths, Rich, lots of deep breaths and step backs and go, right, okay, why would they want me to think this? And then sort of work backwards from there. This was an interesting story, Rich. This is an opinion piece. I don't know if people watching this know a guy called John Rutherford and his wife Nisha. They're very good. They're both lawyers essentially, so they tend to come from a legal standpoint. With a lot of their articles, they run something called the Rutherford Institute. This is the headline: The Real National Emergency: Endless Wars, Failing Infrastructure, and a Dying Republic. 70 years after President Eisenhower, warned about the cost of the military-industrial complex, America is still stealing from its own people to fund a global empire. In 2025 alone, the US has launched airstrikes in Yemen, bombed Houthi-controlled areas and radar installations, killing scores of civilians, deployed greater numbers of troops and multiple aircraft carriers to the Middle East, and edged closer to direct war with Iran in support of Israel's escalating conflict. Each of these new fronts has been sold to the public as national defense. This is the point in it, Rich. They have to sell it to you. In truth, they are the latest outposts in a decades-long campaign of empire maintenance, one that lines the pockets of the defense contractors while schools crumble, bridges collapse, and veterans sleep at home in the streets. Well, that's because it's not about national defense. As he said, it's about empire maintenance. He goes on to explain how it's about the military-industrial complex and goes into details and other sort of clandestine operations that are happening that the US is involved in, not necessarily the ones that we see on the news. The thing you have with this, Rich, is like there's a support of conquest in terms of Israel. A lot of it comes from the fact that I think they look like us. They're Europeans, aren't they, generally? Let's have it right. It's the same with Britain following America into wars. It's like, again, we support America because they look like us. They've got McDonald's. Have you not seen the series, friends? How could they possibly be the bad guys sometimes? So we have this attitude that us in the West, we're right on everything. There's them over there, they're barbarians. They're to blame for everything. We're just trying to not even police the world. We're trying to peace the world. We're not at all. And this is something, Rich, that I think John Rutherford and Nisha Whitehead, have made a really good point here. It's something that's not really being spoken about. And it's not even being, the Warhawks aren't talking about it, but even the more anti-war people aren't talking about it. They're talking about the fact that if we enter the war, if us, the British, or if the Americans enter the war, then British and US soldiers are going to die. And, no more deaths for Israel and stuff. And I agree with that completely, 100%, obviously. And they're right to point that out. But what they're not pointing out is, well, what about the other aspects of this? What about the destruction of economies? The West can't afford to go to war again. It can't. We're already struggling to pay the bills. And so you think, well, Britain's already got the highest energy prices on the planet. Well, they're only going to go up, aren't they, if you have a war in the Middle East? Where do you think most of this energy is coming from? And then you've got global supply chains. the cost of living, the cost of food. And people will go, well, why would that be anything? We don't get our food from Iran. No, but the companies that make the food and the companies that distribute the food and the companies that sell the food all use energy. So when the energy bills go up, they pass that on to you, the consumer. So the food becomes more expensive. No one's really focusing on that. And you go, okay, well, lots of people would die as a result of that. If you can't heat yourself and you can't feed yourself, you die. You eventually, maybe not at the end of a bayonet or by stepping on an IED or whatever, but it's still a way of killing off the population. Rich, I don't know if you've seen people talking about that. I've not seen people really focus on that aspect of war and what it means.
It's a good point, actually, and it's a very, very valid point. It's a cybernetic system, so it affects everything in the loop. And when you do these things and you stretch it so thin, it breaks. So exactly, I think he's put on here 112 billion they've sent to America, 112 billion to Ukraine, Russia war. And it was 4 billion a few months back, as we said yesterday, to Israel. I mean, where's all this money come from? You go to places like Detroit and see the mess that place is in, and it looks like it's been bombed already. There's no need to go there. It's already they've done it. It looks horrific. And this is supposed to be the land of the free. Yeah, well, it really, really isn't. They're going to focus like New York, and even only tiny aspects of that place. So they're getting to the point now where they can't really film anywhere other than near the beaches because it looks terrible everywhere else. Again, they're just stripping the life out of that country. And that country was a proxy really for the British Empire at the very start, at the very start. And definitely the nobility families went in there, the Freemasons set it up. So it was a means to an end in a larger scale. So it's completely true. And he's great at doing this and knowing the actual, not just the political understandings of it, but the financial understandings in it. But there's also this other understanding that we bring up a lot about the religious side and the messianic understanding of it behind, and it all folds into one. The West is supposed to collapse. This is the whole point, that this is controlled demolition of the West, and it has been for a very long time. And they'll rise empire. If you want to go even further out, zoom further out, they'll bring empires up at some point and collapse them at another point. It's the ebb and flow. It's the yin and yang of things. They understand the polarity. So now the power is shifting over to the east and probably China, really. But in the background, you don't hear a lot about that. But in the background, that's what's called the stalking horses really coming around. But really, when it comes to the religious side, that Middle East has got a different plan to it. So again, it's cybernetics. They're changing the nature of what the power issue is, going from one to the other. And that's the way to do it, is to make the powerful rely on the weak, the seemingly weaker side. I think this is a really good point, actually, a couple of days ago, that the Iran were putting out videos saying, this is how we live. Our city is actually really technically advanced. And you think we all live in stone huts and walk around in the desert. That's by design.
Oh yeah, that's our entitled Western view. I mean, my mum went to Iran a few years back, loved it, said it was great, people were great, happy, driving around, chatting, everything was fine. I don't have any skin in the game for their authorities, although I don't have any skin in the game for any authorities anywhere, including my own. But the people there, she said it was great. Although she went to Syria as well, so now I'm worried where she's going. Because, do you know what I mean? Regime change seems to follow my mum around. So they'll be saying that the Isle of Wight's developing a nuclear weapon soon.
We've been looking over there. Right. We've been looking everywhere, and it's been happening in your back garden all along.
Yeah, that's it. It is. I mean, when you're saying stuff like hundreds of billions of pounds, that's just monopoly money, isn't it? When you think about it, that is literally just monopoly money. You're just saying figures. Like America is however many trillion in debt. Okay, what does that even mean? Like, what is it? Literally, what does that mean? It's just some zeros on a screen. It's just madness. Absolute insanity. And as you made the point, Detroit and places like that, when Palestine, Ohio had that huge chemical spill, with the train crash and all that sort of stuff, the big derailment, what happened? What did they do? What did anyone do about it? Not bothered. But we're going to war. Oh yeah. Got plenty of money for that, mate. Just continuing, because I was going to move on to a couple of your stories, Rich, but my two basically were sort of related to the same thing. So I'll just quickly get this one done, and then we'll move on to that. So this story was breaking overnight. I have to take a deep breath before. Right. Foreign Secretary to meet US officials in Washington as Trump mulls over strikes against Iran. It's weird, isn't it? You're at a point, because imagine you're in Tehran now. There's 10 million people live there, right? The overwhelming majority of them are just normal men and women like us. I mean, just normal people. Nothing to do with any regime. And you've got someone sat there going, yeah, I'm mulling it over, thinking about it. I might bomb them. Yeah, I don't know. I'll decide after dinner. It's mental, actually, is what it is. David Lammy and Secretary of State Marco Rubio will discuss the Middle East as potential American involvement in the conflict looms. Of course it's going to happen. We all know it's going to happen. Worst kept secret in the world. It comes after Sir Keir Starmer convened a Cobra meeting of senior ministers on Wednesday to give updates on ongoing diplomatic efforts and the UK support to British nationals in the region. The high-level meeting, so I don't know if it was upstairs then, came on the heels of his return from the G7 summit in Canada, in which he and other world leaders reiterated their commitment to peace and stability. He's been picking a fight with Russia for a year. But the US president, who left the summit a day early, told reporters outside the White House he was considering strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, considering them, thinking about it. I'll see how I feel. When I don't want to make a decision on an empty stomach. When I look at that, though, I think, right, the Foreign Secretary, so that's David Lammy. So what the world needs, right, it needs sound minds, it needs calm heads, it needs a bit of intelligence, and we get Donald Trump, a narcissist, and a toddler, really, he's a spoiled little brat, and David frickin' Lammy, the 10-watt light bulb, the race-baiting moron that is David Lammy. They're the two we get, is it? It's mad. And I think it's probably a prelude to the UK joining, Rich, to be fair. It was the same as when Blair went out to meet with Bush, and then suddenly they came back and went, yeah, all right, we'll join the US in just a short little operation in Iraq, because people forget that's how it was sold as well, and that's how they're selling this. I think Trump was making the point, it's just a few bombs. Like, we can have them done in 10 minutes. We'll go in there, we'll sort out the nuclear facilities. It's not an all-out war. We'll go in there and we'll sort that out, and then we'll be out. That's what they said with Iraq, mate. It was going to be a short military operation, in and out, put the kettle on, don't worry about it. Yeah, I'll be home in time for match of the day. That's not what happened, obviously, and it was an absolute disaster. And it'll be the same thing here. But it's how they sell it to you, isn't it? Because if they say to you, oh, guys, I think we're going to go into a war to support Israel, a war they started, probably going to be a few years, mate. It's probably going to be a few years, a few dead Americans, quite a few dead Brits as well. It's going to cost a fortune, mate. Your energy prices, they are going to skyrocket, mate. And best have a spag bowl. Have a spaghetti bolognese tonight, because you're not going to be having one of them for a couple of years, mate. Won't be able to afford to. If you said that to people, they'd go, no chance, mate. So you just say, it's just a short military operation, mate. We'll be in and out. And Rich, you know as well as I do, that's not going to be what happens.
No, it's just that you're not going to advertise it with the worst aspects, are you? You're going to pair of shoes and go, these will probably give you eczema on your heels, and probably by the time you get to 45, you may have a little bit of arthritis creeping in. Not going to sell the trainers, is it? So you got to. It really isn't. They're not going to sell it on the worst aspects. We're going to go in there, just a few bombs. I like the way that the fact he's got, I might do it, I might not. I've just got to wait for those guys to come around in the big tall hats we're just going to have a chat. They're not telling me what to do. Just go have a chat. Just go have a chat. They sometimes like to gather around the desk in high order for some reason. And then we'll have a chat, and then we might do, I don't know. The hunters become the hunted. I like that. That line really made me laugh. I'd love to see him run away from a wolf. That'd be
What's mad though? Like we laugh about it because it is absurd. But if you break it down, what you've got is one man. Why has he got an orange face? I don't understand this. I was asking people in the office earlier. Like, this isn't to mock him, because I know people say he's an orange goblin, and he is, but that's fine. I'm not bullying. I don't understand why he's got an orange face. So that's already confused me. So I'm already coming into this with a state of confusion in place. But you've got, this orange dude sat there going, I'm mulling it over. Like you said, he needs to be told when to go. I'm mulling over dropping missiles and bombs on a foreign nation, on people, on human beings. I'm mulling over blowing people to pieces. And whoever's holding the microphone in front of him is not going, "Excuse me, Mr. President, can we just look at what you've just said there, mate? You've just literally said you're umming and ahhing and thinking about blowing people to pieces. That's not a normal thing to say. Whether you're orange or not, it's not a normal thing to say." Yeah, everyone's going, "Yeah, he's mulling it over. We'll see what he says." We live in a mad world, Rich.
Yeah, we're enabling it. We're enabling it. His psychopathy has got to the point because all of his life he's been enabled to do whatever he wants, and when he screws up, which is all the time, every day, all day long, he gets people to bail him out, like the Rothschilds, and
Yeah.
so he doesn't take responsibility for his own behaviour. So he doesn't understand real responsibility. Of course he don't. He's lived a privileged little life. Every time he's screwed up, like all of these guys that go to Harvard and the J.D. Vances of the world, the Peter Thiels of the world, they don't have real responsibility. So they end up as basically, stunted children. And that's what they get put into that place. The entitlement is absolutely incredible. The guy's a lunatic and he should not be anywhere near. I mean, I know he's not in power, but he shouldn't have any perceived perception of power, which is power in itself for people who follow him around. The guy's an absolute cretin. And
He is a
none of these guys are making any decisions anyway. It's all theatre.
You're right. Are you suggesting though, Rich? I just because I heard you say this, that you thought Trump was. I'm sure you said the word entitled. Are you suggesting a man that was just given a small loan of $1 million to start his business by his dad? Are you suggesting that is some kind of entitlement? Because in Trump's own word, it was just a small loan of $1 million.
Well, it wasn't a loan because he never had to pay it back. So that's not a loan in itself. And he didn't pay it back because he went bankrupt a few years later. And then he screwed a load of people out of a living by pretending to sell courses on how to become mega rich. They always do that. Self-development courses, hilarious. There's always a guy there that's making money off you, telling you how to do something that they haven't done themselves, but they're only doing it because you're paying for it. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and half of them are alcoholics and drug addicts.
They live with their mum.
On uppers and downers. I know,
Yep.
this is the joke of it. And the art of the deal, he didn't even write that book anyway.
No.
Do you know what I mean? That's the joke of it. Oh, mate, what ridiculous. Talking of jokes and entitled, though, the richest man in the world, who definitely isn't the richest man in the world, who runs all these companies and develops everything and tweets all day long. I don't know. Does he have like 68-hour days and we have 24-hour days? I don't know. But it's not gone all well for him today, is it? Or last night?
Well, he may have done. He's on the spectrum. I don't know what world he's in. He's blowing stuff up now. But he's always been blowing stuff up. Moment SpaceX rocket explodes into massive fireball. Massive fireball. Guys, we've got a clip here. The voiceover commentary is something to behold. We'll have a quick look at this.
Yeah, probably. I mean, even the other day when they... Whoa!
Whoa! What? That's not good.
No!
Oh my God. It appears there has been a
Ship
row.
36 just blew up.
Now, it's the way these kind of effeminative, feminine even, men are commenting on it that kind of lessens the load of the fact that this machine that cost millions, possibly even more than that, just exploded. A live stream has captured the moment a SpaceX Starship rocket exploded into a gigantic fireball when preparing for a flight test. The incident occurred on Wednesday, so we've not heard anything about this. So I've just found this morning, didn't hear anything about this. Wednesday night, around PM at Maisie's testing center in Texas. Jones probably could see it from his window. In a statement, the company said no injuries were caused. They said there were no... Yeah, well, exactly. There were no hazards to the surrounding communities. A big fireball, probably a big one, and asked communities not to approach the area. They don't need to. It's coming towards them in the form of fire. So it blew up, basically. Right. So we're not hearing anything about this. So this is a test site, and I know his supporters will go, well, that's what tests are for. It's kinda, Kind of, but you hope you get to the point before you're about to launch it into the sky that it's not going to blow up. You would have thought you'd have fixed those problems. You'd have hoped along the way. Luckily, there was no one in this one, but there will be if you're silly enough to get in a SpaceX rocket and be launched off to Mars. So we're all going to Mars, or are we all just blowing ourselves up?
How many SpaceX satellites are there now, Rich? Like, I don't even know. It's tens and tens of thousands, isn't it? And this is what makes me laugh when people talk about Musk being this outsider and this anti-establishment guy. It's all government contracts. And it's not just government contracts since Trump came in. It was all government contracts under Biden as well, which was supposedly arch enemies. I don't know about you, Rich, but who owns the sky? Who owns space? And who said it's okay to stick all these satellites in space, beaming 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 in the future G down on every single one of us? Because for me, you can wire your house so you haven't got Wi-Fi in your house, or you can turn off your Wi-Fi router at night, which I think hopefully most people do at least. Well, what's the point if you're getting Elon Musk beaming 5G down on your bonds, and no one asked any permission for that?
Yeah, he's got hundreds of thousands of satellites in the sky. It was Skynet, basically, isn't he? He put it over Gaza, he's put it over Ukraine, he's put it over everywhere, and they've had their pretend fallout now. But this is the guy that's blowing up rockets at the exact same time. I tend to think there's something else going on with the money of this. This tech is so bad that I think that possibly it's kind of a front for something else that's going on with all that money. But yeah, it's he's not someone you would trust, would you, really, to shoot stuff into the sky? But let's let him have a go at it.
I wouldn't trust him to tell me the time, mate. You just have to look at him when he doesn't realise people are watching him. You know, like if you have like at the inauguration, or when he was in Trump's Oval Office and Trump's talking to the camera and he's in the background, so he in his mind the focus is on Trump, not him. I like following him because you just watch him.
I do.
I'm looking at him and he's gurning in a way that I think if you were in a nightclub, everyone would go, that dude's on ket. He's off with the fairies. He is also the AI guy, though, and your next story, Rich, is related to AI. Again, what could possibly go wrong, mate?
Well, it's terrifying. This is what the article says from The Guardian. WhatsApp AI helper mistakenly shares user's number. So it's getting it all mixed up in here. He's just giving your private details out. Chatbot tries to... I said he then, which is worrying. Chatbot tries to change subject after serving up unrelated users' mobile to man asking for rail firm helpline. So he asked for the number for the helpline, and he just got Colin from Basildon.
Call Colin. Colin might know. Colin's into trains.
Colin's into bread. The Meta chief executive Mark Zuckerberg called it the most intelligent AI system that you can freely use. But Barry, 41, a record shop worker, trying to travel by rail from Saddleworth in Manchester, Piccadilly, does not agree. Waiting on the platform for a morning train that was nowhere to be seen, he asked Meta's WhatsApp AI assistant for a contact number for Trans Pennine Express. You know, simple thing. The chatbot confidently sent him a mobile number for a customer service, but it turned out to be the private number of a completely unconnected WhatsApp user 170 miles away in Oxfordshire.
Amazing. I know AI is dreadful and it's bad and it's everywhere, which is a red flag, and we haven't even started yet, to be fair with that. It's meant to overtake humans, and it already is, because it's just making humans lazy, for one thing. You can see where it started. It started with the automatic checkouts, didn't it? You know, you went into a Tesco's or any other kind of supermarket, and there was like 1 or 2 automatic checkouts. I would always then go to the human, and I always say every time, I say the same line when I queue up, and they look at you like, "Why is he queuing up?" And I go, "I'd rather deal with a human, thanks." They're everywhere now. It's more of them than it is humans, and in the end, there'll be no humans of that. It's the same thing, so it's not good. But I'm sorry, that's funny.
But it's also funny when you go to the self-service checkout. It's called self-service for a reason, but then you literally scan something through and the red light goes off, and then Maggie has to run down, and she's like she's doing the job of 6 people. It's about taking that one person from the till and making her do 6 times more work while running around between machines that aren't working, and it's going off like it's like a game of life, pinging off here and there, and it's like everyone's turning around and looking for Maggie because they can't scan anything. Technology breaks, so you need a human to stand, at least one, to stand on the side of going, this isn't working properly, is it? This
It's
is the
funny as
point.
well, though. Maggie's getting paid the same as she was when she just worked on one checkout.
Exactly. And
That's
she
the
used
joke
to get
of
to
it.
sit. And she got to sit down. Now she's
Yeah,
got
not
to run
anymore,
around.
Maggie.
Poor old Maggie, smashing herself around for 8 hours a day for £8.20 an hour, and it's just ridiculous. So yeah, now this is breaking. This is called paring it down. So there was an IQ test, I think, that came out yesterday saying, I think it was something to do. Humans are getting more stupid because of artificial intelligence.
Well, yeah, they are, because you get
Well, they
something
are.
else to do it for you. It's the same
But
as there's kids now that are using AI to write their dissertations.
Of course they are.
So you're
But
getting a mark based on AI.
but then they're marking the AI, which must be getting more stupid because that's the mark they're coming out with. So we're all in a tangled web here of mess. But that's called paring it down. So they're paring humans down because our artificial intelligence can never be as smart as the average human being, give or take Lammy. And it's
God.
just it. Yeah, well, exactly. So there are people. there are other things going on, and but it's called paring it down. So they can't get artificial intelligence up to the level of a human mind. They never can. Don't be silly. But they can pare humans down so they're dumb enough to be on the level of artificial intelligence, slightly below. There's been films about that for a many long time.
Yeah, well, they're doing it, and like I say, you can see that is happening on a daily basis. Everywhere you go, you see AI now. It's everywhere. Well, it's being injected into the veins of the United Kingdom. In Starmer's words, it's pretty obvious, and that seems to be the next race. You had the space race, you got the arms race. I've got arms, and now it's the AI race.
Oh, it gets even deeper than that. The video I'm putting out this week is about mirror image people, Gareth. They're mirroring your cells in your body because they become left or right-handed cells. Look into it, guys. There's a thing called mirror life. Basically, your digital ID, your digital person, your clone will be literally a mirror image biological version of you. Look into it. It's weird. It's connected to George Church, and he was funded by Jeffrey Epstein. All very weird stuff. Mirror life. So some of these clones that come out that don't quite look like like yourself. Maybe they're flipped, mirrored versions of them. There's something weird going on, and I think the top level is the technology. It's going on a biological level. I mean, come on, we're supposed to think that Elon Musk's one of the smartest people in the world. As you say, when the camera's not on him, he's looking up in the sky with a spoon.
Yeah, he's away.
Studying. He's gone. He's gone he's gone somewhere.
He has gone somewhere. Yeah. When you're talking about clones, though, it makes me think of Carl Pilkington, and where Ricky Gervais is telling him about basically a similar sort of concept, and he says, "But how will I know which one's me?" And it just because you'll be you. It just makes me laugh. Final story today. Well, it's not a story that's breaking today. It's one we spoke about yesterday, where we were talking about basically the legalization of infanticide in the UK, where now it will be legal to abort a baby up until the point of birth, so a fully formed child. Then, absolute insanity, twisted, and the fact that they wooed and cheered in the Houses of Commons when the bill was passed is just. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about the demonic minds that apparently rule. I was going to say the country, but they rule the world, don't they, at the moment, as long as we let them. Now, I got an email this morning from a lady called Janet, who I think is a subscriber. So hi, Janet, if you're watching. So I thought made a really valid point that actually, I don't know why, we didn't consider it, but it's actually a really, really important point. So we're talking about the fact that it's about a depopulation agenda, and you made the point, Rich, about the fact that, with the assisted dying bill, they're kind of getting you on the way out, and they're now trying to essentially get you on the way in by making it legal. I spoke to Jada Franson yesterday on the show, and she was making the point that actually, yes, this is horrific, but actually it's been legal to abort a baby up until the point of birth if, one, it could kill the mother essentially by being born, and that's not that it goes on till it's 25 and pulls out a knife. It's that, in the point of birth, it could kill the mother. That's a different conversation. But she was making the point that actually they've been aborting disabled children, babies, late term for a very long time. But what they define disabled as is basically having like a hair lip. It's a minor surgery. Joaquin Phoenix. The guy's an absolute world superstar, Hollywood hunk, for want of a better term. He was born with a hair lip. Little minor surgery. That's not disabled. And another one she was saying that they were reporting for was having a clubbed foot. A club foot. Well, Steven Gerrard had a club foot when he was born. The guy went on to be one of the greatest footballers England's ever produced. So again, is that really disabled? So she made a very valid point. Anyway, I'm digressing, Richard. What this email said, what Janet said, was had we basically not considered the fact that obviously there's this huge organ harvesting industry, and we spoke about it in last week's show about the idea of brain death and the manipulation of that in order to basically create bodies that they could basically harvest these organs. Well, now you're going to be aborting full-term babies. So full-term babies are fully formed. It's a fully formed baby. So is that just another way, it's another avenue for that twisted organ harvesting industry to tap into, Rich? I don't know how, I hadn't considered that, mate.
I hadn't either till you mentioned it this morning, and it's a possibility. There's other possibilities as well, that those babies are being used for experiments on a cellular level as well, that we don't know about. And I think even the Lucy Letby stuff, there's something going on in the background there, and it's worth mentioning that they're hiding something. I'm not saying she's guilty or she's not guilty. I don't know enough about the case, but there's clearly something that is bigger than her that's going on in the background there. This is like arms sales, like anything that can be trafficked. This is this is actually what unfortunately makes the world go round, and it's really awful. And when people really look at it, it's drugs, guns, people, organs. Trafficking is a major part of the economy, and that's what funds the military, that funds the death of these people, that goes back into it, that funds the guns, which funds the drugs, which funds the system. As we said earlier, cybernetic system is broke, and they keep feeding these things into it. So it's a really important thing to keep in mind, that there's lunacy, that there's always logic to their lunacy.
Oh, 100%. There's something in it for them. They don't do anything by accident. That's the thing about these demons. They are ghouls and demons, but they're well organised and they know what they're doing. Rich, I also say we're back tomorrow. I'm not back tomorrow. I'm on child duty. I've got both my girls tomorrow. So you're flying solo, mate.
I am, yeah. We'll come back with see what happens overnight, and hopefully we'll have some good news for you by the end of the day.
God, wouldn't that be great? Would that be great?
Yeah.
Jeez. Cheers though, Rich, and thanks to everyone at home for watching. As always, Trending is brought to you in association with Iconic Coffee. If you head over to shop.iconic.com, use the code TRENDING, you get 10% off all the coffee, and also you can get a mug. We've got a trending mug. This is a prototype, so Jay will get annoyed at me for using it. You've got the one they can buy. I don't know why it's a prototype. It's just a mug. It holds coffee exactly the same as yours, but there you go. But yeah, you can get that, and any profits that come back into the company go into producing more content for you guys, which I'm sure we'll have to work overtime in the coming weeks, months, and even years as this whole agenda gets closer and closer to its final goal. But cheers, Rich, and I'll see you next week, mate.
See you later. Take care, guys.